President Trump started his day off swinging against anyone who came in his way. Taking to Twitter, the president lashed out at both Senator John McCain and Senator Richard Blumenthal. Here's the background, and let's start with McCain. The two are feuding over comments the Arizona senator made about the military raid in Yemen. McCain has said he thinks it's a disservice for the White House to characterize that raid as a success because one of our Navy SEALs lost his life. Well, it prompted this response from the president. Senator McCain should not be talking about the success or failure of a mission to the media. Only emboldens the enemy. He's been losing so long, he doesn't know how to win anymore. Just look at the mess our country is in, bogged down in conflict all over the place. Our hero Ryan died on a winning mission, according to General Mattis. Not a failure. Time for the U.S. to get smart and start winning again. Okay, so this is the first thing, batting leadoff this morning, this battle. What do you make of it? Bowling. Me? Yeah.
So, yeah, there was a lot going on this morning. There's a lot of Twitter activity going on this morning. I'm finding it interesting that all day, if you watch cable news, you switch the channels, look all over the place, what you see is Democrats outraged that Donald Trump was pushing back on Senator Richard Blumenthal's assessment of those two words. The two words were driving the cable news world crazy on the left, saying, how can he say this? How can Donald Trump push back on it? Instead of figuring out it's like, fake news. That wasn't fake news. That was fake outrage all day. Because it was a couple of words. Okay, so he said it. You'll get along. And by the way, maybe Blumenthal will now vote in favor of Gorsuch anyway, so that might help him even further. Instead of focusing on what really the most important news of the day today was Donald Trump, and then Sean tweeted, and then Sean Spicer followed up with some very, very interesting news for a lot of people that affects everyone. Tax cuts are coming, 2 to 3 weeks, massive new tax reform. That'll affect every single human being watching TV. That's that. But instead, we're going to worry about a couple of words that Gorsuch may or may not have said.
So let's listen to those exchanges of back and forth now, if you can roll it.
His comments were misrepresented, and what you should do is ask Senator Blumenthal about his Vietnam record that didn't exist after years of saying it did. So ask Senator Blumenthal about his Vietnam record. He misrepresented that just like he misrepresented Judge Gorsuch.
I am simply repeating what Judge Gorsuch said to me, and I hope he will repeat it in even stronger terms, clearly, unequivocally and emphatically saying the President of the United States is absolutely wrong to be attacking the judiciary.
Okay, so Dana, what do you make of the back and forth in terms of
I see these two things as very separate. Like on the comments against Senator McCain, anytime there's a raid, you will have an after-action report that DOD does, and there will be criticism. There will be even some maybe internal criticism. Often it doesn't play out necessarily like this, but presidents, for as long as we can remember going back, have received criticism from people either on Capitol Hill or civilians who have no idea what's going on national security-wise, who will say something is a failed effort. And presidents have to not focus on that and just focus on the mission and be able to move forward with that. So I would never have said that about Senator McCain. And I think that it was interesting that yesterday, Christina Vanden Heuvel, is that her name? Katrina Vanden Heuvel from The Nation, which is the left of the left, called John McCain an armchair warrior. And I just think we have a senator, you might disagree with him politically, but I don't think that anybody needs to discredit him and what he did in Vietnam for our country. And I think one of the things that Donald Trump might find is that as president, one of the best things that he could do instead of tweeting about it in the morning, if indeed he wants the media to cover the great story about the tax cuts that are coming, is instead of tweeting about it, pick up the phone and call Senator McCain. Yeah. Because they will actually be able to get a lot of work done together. They're going to need all 52 votes, and Senator McCain is going to be one of them, and he can be very effective. When it comes to Gorsuch, I've seen two. There's two ways to look at it. Do you want me to stop?
Yeah, Dana, I'm going to get in really quick. We just got some big breaking news that the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals will, in fact, announce its decision today. So we'll bring that.
So we will not talk about tax cuts at all today, because every day you wake up at the White House and you think, I really want to drive a message today on something, and today it was tax cuts. But you undercut yourself if then you are tweeting about somebody's Senate record or a military record, or you're tweeting about your Supreme Court nominee and you're making comments about another senator. The media will always cover the sugar, and they don't want to eat the vegetables necessarily, but if you keep giving them sugar, they're going to eat it, and that's your fault.
And now there's going to be this big story that everyone will be covering as well, which is important.
I like the vegetables, though.
I know you like vegetables. You're writing a book about the vegetables.
I'm trying,
Well, you don't
I'm
eat
actually trying
meat.
to talk about the vegetables.
I know, and you're ignoring the sugar.
We're trying.
We're going to
Like
get
on
to
your
all of
plate,
it.
though.
Jam-packed show with vegetables. Okay, Greg, so what do you think?
I'm completely confused on what this segment's about now. There's like 16.
Tax
I'm
cuts
not
are
sure.
It's not that.
Let's start over again.
Yes, so-
All right. Stupid fight to pick. Like, is this a success or a failure? You're both on the same side. You both want more of these raids. McCain wants more of these raids. Trump wants more of these raids. We gave Obama a lot of crap for overselling the progress against ISIS.
Yep.
So we shouldn't, we don't want President Trump to oversell the progress. We want him to be realistic. But I think for now, raid now, evaluate later. Why do we have to evaluate? It's like not even the first inning. He just got in. You got to go out. You got to kill a lot of these terrorists. And it's a long game. It's a forever game. But the other thing, too, about this, and what I've learned to accommodate in my own brain, is this really is a long Comedy Central roast. There is no safe space in the Trump administration. He doesn't pick the battles. He lets the battles pick him, and then he goes after them, and it's constant. I have no doubt that him and McCain actually would probably get along.
Yeah,
if they would just. But instead, what you're watching is you're
But do you
kind of
understand
watching.
where they're both coming from, though? Here's the fact. The fact is that the mission was very successful because it was a tremendous amount of intelligence that was gathered. They compared it to the intelligence grab and trove of information they got in Abbottabad.
Wait, no, can I just
that is
my
true.
point?
That is true.
But that's not the point.
But a life was lost.
Is the discussion is poor? If you have Sean Spicer saying you shouldn't comment on any effort if people died, then I guess you can't comment on the Iraq War, which I believe the candidate who won spent 18 months commenting on the Iraq War.
But also, spent a lot of time on that.
But also, McCain, if I'm not mistaken, threw the fire that lobbied the first shot in this war. And look, McCain has been doing. Listen, everyone knows I'm no big fan of John McCain. He's a war hero. I get it. I agree with that completely. I just don't like his politics. I don't like his policy. I don't like what he's been over the last 15 years. But he's been taking shots. This whole we need to investigate.
Is he not conservative enough for you?
He's inconsistent, Greg. I mean, there are a lot of things. I don't like his.
Trump's been a Democrat and a Republican.
Pro-amnesty stand on things. I don't like.
What about the Gang of Eight
big
report
government.
today?
I don't like the fact that there's never been a war he hasn't ascribed to or voted for. Just don't like it. But or cap and trade. He's pro cap and trade. There are a lot of things I don't like about John McCain.
Right.
Well, the biggest thing I don't like about him is that he's a senior, well-respected senior senator who's very vocally pushing back on a lot of the Trump initiatives. It's not the time.
So you don't like him because he disagrees with Trump. Everybody must agree with Trump.
I just gave you 3 reasons why I don't. You shouldn't like him either, being a conservative.
Yeah.
Cap and trade, amnesty.
Can everyone agree with me so I can get Bob in?
Yeah, everybody, welcome back to the fore. The point here is a couple of things. One, you don't want to pick a fight with somebody like John McCain through Twitter when you're going to need him on a lot of things. He's going to be helpful to you. Number one,
Bob?
Like what? He could be helpful. He could be harmful if he wants to be. He's a tough guy.
He's going to screw his constituents just to get back at Trump?
Can I finish this?
Sure.
Why in the world is the President of the United States? I've never seen a President of the United States take on 2 sitting senators at one time and not just talk about, that he disagrees with him. He says he's a loser. John McCain a loser when it comes to the military? Or Blumenthal? What Blumenthal said that this judge said in his office, there was a White House guy there with him, and he confirmed it. So that's not, Trump is just flat out lying about it, number one, which is something he just does automatically. But, talk about stepping on messages. If tax reform, in fact, is going to happen, which I doubt, but let's assume it does. He steps on that message today. He has a habit of stepping on messages every single day. The good news gets buried under things like this. The guy just should put the Twitter thing away and learn. But he can't because he still thinks he's a CEO of a company and he makes all the decisions. And guess what, Don? You don't.
Well, he does.
Well,
He's the president.
It's called commander-in-chief, so he's making the calls unless he gets pushed back by Republican senators.
All right, Danny.
But just remember, we don't work for him. He's not our boss. He works for us.
Correct. And as does McCain, who works for the country.
So you think it was okay for him to take him on like that?
I think there's been a war going back and forth between John McCain and Donald Trump for a year and a half.
Yeah, but should you Twitter
Donald
about
Trump
it?
is not going to sit back and let John McCain undercut a lot of the things that he's trying to do.
And all he did was get a bunch of senators, including Republicans, stand up for John McCain, number one. Number two,
Dana's exactly John McCain's war service or his heroic actions or decision to stay in a concentration camp while others
or
left.
service in this country as a senator.
Donald Trump said he was a loser. He was a continued loser. Now, this is a guy that's going to lose anyway, Trump. But the point is that he takes on a guy like John McCain, he calls him a loser, and then with Blumenthal, he goes back to his Vietnam War record. If he wants to talk about telling the truth,
nothing
this guy hasn't told the truth about anything.
Than if John McCain decided to retire and we get a real conservative senator in Arizona. That would be. Look, I'm out there. I'm not.
Well, he's done a very good job.
But how is Trump more conservative than McCain?
Well, I think Trump is trying to close the border, not open borders.
But there was a report
he's against cap and trade.
What about the report today that Donald Trump is open to going forward with the Gang of Eight?
Is he?
I saw that today. That was one of the vegetables I ate. I don't know if it's true, but I mean that's what they reported. That it looks like that he might be open to it, which I think is refreshing. And I don't think you have to be an ideologue. I mean, if it's good policy, let's go for it, whether you're Republican or Democrat, far left,
but he's willing to listen
John
to
McCain opposed the Bush tax cuts. I mean, what more do you need? Look, I hate to do this, but, you want to talk about squishy Republicans or Rhino, there it is, poster. I'm sorry.
So if you had the Republicans that you like, your brand of Republican,
be one of those
then Donald Trump would not have to be an authoritarian, I won't use the word, because he'd have everybody in the Congress going with him. People are not like you. You're a small minority. You and Donald Trump and all this crap. People don't want walls. They don't want to have tax cuts for rich people. They want cap and trade. You better get used to this. You better get used to it.
Do they?
Yes,
well, they should have voted for it. Then they just should have voted for that because they had that. They had that in Hillary Clinton.
You're apologizing for Trump's mismanagement of his job.
I'm not apologizing for Trump at all. What are you talking about? I'm saying John McCain and Trump are having a fight, and I understand why.
Do you think that it was the right thing for Trump to do?
No.
I think you knew that was coming. It's been going on for a year and a half. What? You got to go.
Apparently,